this movie's not gonna kill you, but it's gonna hurt you really, really bad. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I'm here today to review the film Suicide Squad. So Suicide Squad, in a nutshell, is about a bunch of villains who are forced by the government to be a part of a team to fight threats that are deemed too much for normal human capabilities. They need like meta-humans to fight these battles, and so they send these bad guys to go fight these threats, and that's basically the movie. Now, if I'm to be completely honest with you guys, I was more excited to see this film than I was for Batman v Superman. Why? Because with Batman v Superman, I already had very low expectations for the film, and I kind of knew what to expect from it. With Suicide Squad, no clue what to expect from it. I had no idea what the story was. I didn't really know much of the characters. I didn't know what the style and tone of the film was going to be like. It was just a breath of fresh air, guys. And that breath of fresh air and mysterious tone to the film just got me more and more excited and more curious to see the film for myself. Not to mention that this was such a huge shot in the dark for Warner Brothers and DC Comics to take, to make an entire film centered around relatively unknown villains to the main populace. I mean, that is such a huge risk, and I truly admired and respected Warner Brothers and DC Comics for taking said risk. It shows that they actually have some guts and they want to try something new, something refreshing. Not to mention the promotion and marketing of the film was really well done. I mean, it got you really excited. The trailers looked really cool and awesome. It looked like they were having more fun with this film. So I was just like, yes, I can't wait to see it. Oh, August can't get here any sooner. And then we had the Rotten Tomato fiasco where a bunch of the critics saw the film already and they gave it very unflattering scores, to the point where it got people thinking, why do the critics have it out for DC films? Why do they hate these DC films? I mean, first it was Batman v Superman, now we have Suicide Squad. It started off at like 20%, then it went to 28%. It's pretty rotten. That's pretty much what the critics are all saying. And that actually upset me because I was so excited to see this film, and I heard about the scores and I'm like, guys, really? It can't be that bad. It cannot be that bad. And I'm not a big believer in like the critics trying to just destroy all DC films. I'm sure they had valid points to make, but I never go on Rotten Tomatoes. And you all should never go on Rotten Tomatoes. Make your own decisions. Make your own opinions. Form your own opinions, guys. Don't hear what the critics have to say, and that includes myself. You don't have to listen to what I say. I'm just a guy giving his opinion, and you could agree or disagree with it, or maybe you might actually get some insight through what I'm saying. But if you're just gonna base your opinion of this film based on what other people say, that's bad. Don't do that. Make your own decisions. So that's what I did. I ignored what Rotten Tomatoes says because I never go on Rotten Tomatoes. Fuck Rotten Tomatoes. I went to see the film for myself, not changing my whole opinion about it. I still was really excited, and I went to see the film for myself, and what do I think about it? Well, let's find out. Hands down, the best thing about this film is the acting. Everybody does a great job with their performances. They own their roles. From Will Smith as Deadshot to Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. My goodness, she is just a phenomenal Harley Quinn, and I really liked her performance. From Joel Kinnaman as the soldier guy. Hell, even Jai Courtney did pretty well as Captain Boomerang. But personally, the best performance in the entire film, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Like, she was tough, she was convicting, she took no shit, and she was just commanding in every single scene that she was in. Like, I personally believe that she is the character to bring all these villains together and to keep them in check. Like, she literally gives them those looks like, I'm not fucking around, guys. I will blow your fucking heads off if you get out of line. I'm like, God damn it, I salute you, woman. Some of the characters were pretty interesting, got some pretty good development. Deadshot and El Diablo in particular had the best backstories in the entire film, and their characters had the most weight to them. You actually learned a lot about them, and you got attached to them. They were honestly the strongest characters in the group, at least. There were quite a few thrilling and entertaining action sequences scattered throughout. The visual style of the film is very unique, very appealing. I just like the overall look of this film. And finally, the last third of the film is without question its strongest part. It had the best action, the best character moments, the best visuals, the best everything. It was really well done. But unfortunately, guys, those are the only good elements of the film. The rest? Strike two, DC. Strike two. The biggest issue with this film, guys, was its editing. My God, was it horrid! It was sloppy and choppy as shit, lacking any sort of consistency from scene to scene. It literally sucks you out of the moment that is happening on screen. It sucks you out of this film. That's how noticeably bad the editing is. And I know what many of you are probably typing in the comments right now. Tony, you should know this very important fact before you do this review because you need to just know everything about this film before you even think about reviewing it. First off, I don't need to know everything about this film in order to do a review for it. This is just an initial thoughts of the film itself. And two, luckily for you, I heard a news report saying that Warner Brothers actually made their own final cut of this film before David Ayer, the director of the film, was able to make his own final cut. And I would not be surprised if the film that we are seeing in theaters right now is the Warner Brothers cut instead of the David Ayer cut, as the film is clearly edited by somebody who has no idea how to keep the consistent flow of the narrative together. It's literally, it feels like just a bunch of scenes cobbled together to make it seem like it's entertaining and thrilling. Oh, look at all these scenes. And it just ruins the flow of the narrative. And that's why it's such a big deal. I know a lot of you are like, why you bring so much attention to the editing? Because editing is a very crucial part of filmmaking. It's a very crucial part of a film. If the editing of the film is choppy and it ruins the flow of the narrative, it will suck you out of the experience. As I said earlier, that's why editing is so vital. It's the unspoken hero of film. Because if a film is edited badly, you're gonna have a bad time. But not only does this film suffer from poor editing, it also suffers from weak characters and a lackluster story. The two major elements, in my opinion, that can make a film great and interesting and compelling. You have to have a captivating story with some interesting characters to follow. In this film, your story is very by the numbers and average. There's not much weight to what's happening in the story, so you really don't give a damn. And it doesn't help the fact that many of the characters aren't all that well developed or even that interesting. Yeah, sure, you have Deadshot, you have El Diablo, you have Amanda Waller. They're very interesting, but what about the rest? What about Killer Croc? What about freaking Captain Boomerang? Katana? All the other characters, the guy that Joel Kinnaman plays. Ugh, what a yawn. Enchantress? Whatever. You don't care about these characters, and one of the major reasons for that is because some of them don't even get that much development. What development does Killer Croc get? All he does is go, and I'll say a funny line right here. That's all the character ever really does. And he has some badass moments, granted, but that doesn't make an interesting character. You can make a character badass all you want, but if there's no character to the character, I'm not really gonna care. What broke my heart the most was Katana. I was excited to see Katana in this film, and they don't do much with her character. She's like that silent character that will say one line now and again. She has a tragic backstory, but like they don't really give much focus to it, and you don't really care, once again. Not to mention, the character motivations make absolutely no sense in this film. Now granted, for a majority of the film, there was a reason why the members of the Suicide Squad had to do what they had to do. They were kind of forced, they had no choice or else they were gonna die. But later on in the film, that threat of death goes away. So there's really no reason for any of them to stick around, but they do. Why? Because movie logic? Why? That's why they stick around? It really does not make any sense. Like, there's this one character who gets their device turned completely off, and they run away, but then they end up coming right back to the team because they built a strong bond with them? No, that makes no sense. Not to mention, there's absolutely no chemistry with this team. I never felt like they ever bonded. I never felt like they connected. And I think one of the major reasons for that is because some of the scenes where they're supposed to be bonding was cut terribly. Like, they cut it short. Like, there's this one scene where Harley Quinn and Deadshot are having a talk. They're talking to each other, and I felt like this was supposed to be a little bonding moment between them, but they cut it so abruptly that you don't really even feel the weight of that scene, and you don't really feel a bond growing between them. And speaking of Harley Quinn, let's talk about Harley Quinn. Yeah, Margot Robbie killed it as Harley Quinn. She really embodied the character. But the character herself isn't all that interesting, guys. It pains me to say that. They really butchered her backstory too. Like, the whole backstory about how Harley Quinn became Harley Quinn is that the Joker fucked with her mind. He manipulated her to make her fall in love with him. And they do show hints of that in the film, but they bypass it really fast. Like, oh yeah, she was a doctor, but then she fell in love with her patient. I'm like, it would have been nice to actually see her descent into madness. Actually see how the Joker really got into her mind. They just completely bypass all of that. Like, no, she's in love with him already. You're supposed to believe it. She's in love. Believe it. Calm down there, Naruto, because I don't believe it. I didn't buy that she fell in love with this guy because they didn't take enough time to actually develop a real emotional connection that she was forming for the Joker. And since I brought that up, let's talk about the Joker, shall we? I'm sorry, guys, but I just do not like this film's version of the Joker whatsoever. Now, granted, I will give credit to Jared Leto as he did his damnedest with his performance. He did the best he could with what he was given, but I never felt like he was actually the Joker throughout the entire film. I never felt like he actually embodied that character, like he was the Joker. He didn't come off as menacing. He didn't come off as threatening. He came off as a guy that was trying desperately to be like the Joker. He came off as a Joker poser. And no, I'm not comparing this film's interpretation of the Joker to his past incarnations. I'm not comparing him to the Heath Ledger Joker. I'm not comparing him to the Mark Hamill Joker. And I'm not comparing him to the Jack Nicholson Joker. My opinions for this Joker is based solely off of his own merits from what the film has showed me. But what those three Jokers had that this one sorely lacks was memorable standout moments that make your mouth drop and say, oh my god, that is the Joker. That was freaking awesome. What moment in this film that the Joker had really stood out to you? What was a really awesome Joker scene in this film? Can you name one? Because honestly, I can't think of a single one, as the Joker in this film just came off as completely forgettable. Not to mention the fact that he's completely pointless. He's pointless to the story. He adds nothing besides like giving Harley Quinn her backstory, which could have been done much better. But really, what does he serve to the story? He doesn't really muck around with the missions except for that one time. And then that's it. You never see him again. You never hear from him again. He was completely superfluous to the story. They only threw him in because, well, we need a Joker because Harley Quinn's in the film, and, you know, Joker's an iconic character that's gonna get butts in the seats. But his character had no real purpose. He really didn't. Another issue with the film that truly irritated me and added absolutely nothing were the constant use of pop songs throughout the entirety of this film. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with them using pop songs. I feel like they could use some pop songs for some scenes, as it could add levity to a scene, it could add to the tension of the scene, it could enhance the experience if done right, if they picked the right song for the right scene. But for me personally, it felt like they just tacked on all these popular songs that they really enjoyed to scenes with no purpose, no rhyme or reason. It's just like, oh, here's a popular song, let's put it in this scene. It enhances nothing. It actually comes off more as a distraction. Like, why are they playing fucking Marshall Mathers for this particular scene? It just makes no sense. And sometimes, like, they would just play it just to have some background noise to characters walking around or just standing around. It adds nothing. It's just there to distract you from how dull or uninteresting or how lame the scene is. And they would cut off from the song immediately after, like, they get dialogue going. So what was the point? In fact, now that I think about it, guys, and I can't believe it took me this long to realize it, but this is Warner Brothers and DC Comics' lazy attempt to try to be just like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, think about it. It's a ragtag team of nobodies that the main populace have no idea of. They use constant pop music throughout the entire film, and they have a lot of jokes and a lot of wit and a lot of comebacks and just banter among the characters. It's basically DC's Guardians of the Galaxy, but done a lot worse. And that is just shameful, DC. That is just shameful. I actually was rooting for you guys. I wanted this film to succeed, but you're blatantly trying to copy your competitors. Guys, this is the exact reason why people are upset with you. Stop trying to be like Marvel. Just be your own thing, goddammit. Guys, I'm just incredibly disappointed by this film. I truly am. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more I dislike it. It is giving me the exact same feeling that I had when I saw Batman v Superman. And that is not good. That's not good. And I wanted this film to succeed. I desperately wanted it to be good. I was rooting for DC. I wanted them to have at least one win before the year ended. I wanted them to have one film that everybody could get behind and say, yeah, that was a great film. I have a lot of hope for the DCEU. But after seeing this film, the more and more I'm convinced that they're making the exact same mistakes. They're trying desperately to be like their competitors when they don't need to be. They could just be their own thing. Stop trying to copy Marvel. I mean, seriously, that is literally the biggest problem right there. They're trying desperately to be Marvel. Don't do that. Be your own thing, and then people can accept you. Not to mention that if you want to be like them, you gotta take the time and actually flesh out these stories, make your characters interesting. Do great things with your characters. Make the audience actually care about what's happening on screen and actually have something worthwhile to see. I didn't want this to be a rant. I really didn't want this to be a rant. But I just can't ignore the fact that this film is lackluster. It's disappointing. And the critics, they're right. It's not a good film. It is not. And I can't in good conscience say that it's a good film. In fact, all I can really say is that it's a 2 out of 5 stars. It's an easily forgettable film. DC, come on. But as always, guys, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to the Suicide Squad. I'm sure there are a lot of you who will defend this film saying that it's incredible, that it's great, it's phenomenal, it's the best DC film you've ever seen. And I'm sure there are going to be a few of you who agree with my opinions. It sucked, it's terrible, the writing's bad, the story's uninteresting, the characters are weak. So I would love to know what you guys thought about the film. Did you love it? Did you hate it? And let me know, who is your favorite member of the Suicide Squad, both in the comics and in the film? Comment below, let me know. God damn, I'm so mad. I didn't want this to be a rant. I wanted this film to succeed, guys. I really want you to know that. I really wanted it to succeed. I was fucking excited. I'm wearing a shirt that is literally a parody of the Suicide Squad. I'm literally wearing one like that. And it let me down tremendously. And next, I'm gonna be seeing 9 Lives. This is just a really terrible weekend. Bullshit month has truly come. It's here, and it's making me suffer terribly. So, if you guys want, to cheer me up, leave me a nice comment, maybe. Go check my Facebook, check my Twitter, say something nice. Help cheer me up a little bit. I need some sort of levity from all of this. But until then, guys, if you want to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic crew, please hit that subscribe button below. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. I'm talking about in a second. Saddened that I did not like the Suicide Squad as the Black Critic Guy. Until then, peace, YouTube.